Hi, this is Lundmark for shredacademy.com. This is the first installation of my electric guitar concept series. This first installation will deal with note value alteration and timing exercises, which I think is the foundation for any good improvisation. After that, we will also deal with scale concepts such as scale superimposition, which you will find all in the accompanying PDFs. I will also talk about pentatonic finder exercise, and I will talk a little about finding your way across the neck as well. Before going into those, I would highly recommend that you check out Joe Cefalu's exercise hopscotch as a way into these exercises as well. You will see some similarities there, but this is in a bit different direction as well. So all transcriptions will be found in the accompanying PDFs as well, so some solo improvisation transcriptions and of course all the actual examples as well. So without further ado, let's start. So for the first part, the timing exercises and note value alterations, I would highly recommend you first check out the PDF and learn the basic note values and try to learn how to clap them, how to sing them, or whatever your preference is, so you really have the individual note values down and understand them well, both theoretically and practically, before moving into these exercises. Also, it's very important that you learn to stomp your feet to everything you do. It might sound silly, but it's a way of internalizing like a metronome inside your head, because otherwise you're at the mercy of a drummer or someone else in a band, or you're kind of just being led like a blind man by a seeing eye dog or something. So you should be able to stand on your own 2 feet when it comes to timing, so that's really important as well. Also be sure that you have all your boxes down, your pentatonic shapes, and you will need some theory as well, like what scales are which, like the Mixolydian scale is a major scale with the flat seventh. These kind of things is good if you know for the scale superimposition and pentatonic finder exercises as well later in this lesson as well. So without further ado, let's begin. So first exercise, taking through the first position of G minor pentatonic. You should of course play this in all the pentatonic boxes or shapes, and of course in all keys as well. As you can see in the accompanying PDF, I've taken this first exercise, the first 2 strings, and taken that through all the major note value variations. So here's the first example. So the second exercise entails mixing it up a bit, not just going from the highest note value down to the smallest all the time in a pre-ordered fashion, but rather being able to mix them up regardless of the beat you're in, or what line you're playing, or whatever scale or box you're playing. So this is a bit more randomly ordered, so to say. So here we go. One more time. Then, of course, you should be able to take these patterns throughout the shapes, throughout the boxes, like in any of these note values, or altering note values along the way. Okay, time for the second part. What I've done here is I've taken a simple 6-note pattern, like this. See the PDF for details. This is also in the shape first box of C minor pentatonic, for simplicity's sake. As you can see, I will start up by playing it only in thirds. So let's try that. Then Next variation is taking the same pattern, same exact pattern, same order of notes, nothing changed apart from the note value, playing with straight 16ths. Sounds like this. Next variation is to mix up the 16-note triplets with the straight 16 notes. So same pattern, same order of notes, only thing changed that within this pattern I'm altering the composition of note values. It's getting a bit more advanced now. Let's go into the next part. In this example, I've inserted rests into the 16-note pattern. Thereby I'm lengthening it a bit, but still the order of notes remains the same as always. So let's try that. Now, the last example. In this example I'm taking the shape down through the G minor pentatonic, but I'm adding E, which is the natural 6, to get that Dorian feel. I'm also adding the flat 5 for the blues box. But basically the shape remains the same, just added a couple of notes here. I will discuss more about this superimposition of scales in my second lesson, so check that out as well. So here we go with that one. So you can see now that going from this to this is basically just a matter of altering note values in certain rests and thereby spicing it up, not just by adding that natural 6 or that flat 5, but rather by mixing up the note values as well and improvising through them. So try this in all your familiar patterns, all your basic licks, everything, and try to run them through this kind of note value alteration exercise, and you'll see that your improvisation will skyrocket, hopefully. Then on for something maybe a bit more familiar, classic rock lick in E minor pentatonic. Also here adding the natural 6th for the Dorian feel. I'm sure you've seen this a lot of times. Same thing here, also adding the flat 5, so would be the shape then for that scale. Usually this type of licks is always played like at top speed, but say that I am in this tempo here. So instead of just playing somewhere in between a fixed value, I'm kind of floating over the beat, not really paying attention to the beat. And say this is a funk song, or funk rock or fusion jazz or something like that, that won't really fly. I mean, you have to stay in solid tempo, solid beat, and have a really good control of what note values you use. It might work well in like metal, shred rock or blues, where you have a freer sense of rhythm and you often float over the beat in a certain way. But that kind of improvisation won't work in other concepts. So instead what I would do is I would find note values that are still in line with the beat, but that works within this framework. 16-note triplets. Then maybe straight 16 notes. This will sound a bit slow in this tempo maybe. Then Then I can do the same thing as I did with the previous exercise. I can mix these up, mixing 16 notes with triplets. And for fine variation, I can also insert rests into this pattern, thereby adding syncopation to it. One more time. And of course, if I want to play it faster than that, I really want to shred it out, then I would choose a note value that is still in a solid line with the beat. And if I can't play it in that tempo, then I'd rather skip it, rather than sounding like I'm floating all over. So in this case, that would be a 30-second note value, so let's see if that works. So that is still a note value that is in line with the beat, although it's quite fast. Alright, what I will do now is I will play to a backing in G minor blues, and I will try to incorporate these things that we've gone through in today's lesson. First I will just play them as is, then I will start to improvise, and I will start to use this rhythmical displacement and try to use this but in other scales, maybe in other boxes and shapes as well, and just see what happens. So let's go. Triplets, half straight 16s.